So, what would you say? Obviously, the Chinese economy has developed over the years. What would you say the sort of class nature of Chinese society is at the present day?
China is a, in my opinion, is a planned economy. Planned economy which is better planned today than it was under Mao, because under Mao you had these catastrophic, chaotic periods and shifts and zigzags in economic and social and political policy as a consequence of, if you like, the state taking ownership of everything and commanding transformation rather than organically allowing transformation to develop, while strengthening the key sectors of the economy, the state-owned sectors of the economy, in order to develop the means of production to allow you to exploit, on the one side, peasant forms, pre-socialist economic formations, capitalist elements, small private enterprises, foreign investment. Rather than allowing the development of those things, the Maoists nationalised everything. The consequence of that was economic disaster, not only in the Great Leap Forward, but also in the Cultural Revolution and after that. The planned economy, however, in China is in danger. There's no doubt whatsoever about that. It's in danger precisely for the same reasons that the Soviet Union, that the planned economy in the Soviet Union in the 1920s was in danger, because the rising differentiation amongst the peasantry and within the working class and between capitalist forces linked up with foreign traders, petty bourgeois forces, these rising the rising class differentiation in China obviously creates political danger for the planned economy. People grabbing resources, stealing, plundering, and this is an inevitable consequence also of bureaucratic administration of society. But nevertheless, China remains a planned economy which has not yet decisively shifted to capitalism. What does that mean? It means that on the one side, the economy has not decisively shifted to capitalism. The dominant mode of production is actually not the numerical question. It is the social specific weight. What is the weight of the planned economy within China? It is not just a simple numerical question of how much percentage of the gross domestic product is claimed to be by one economist or another within the hands of the private sphere. The key question is who dominates, and this is the essential question, through public ownership of the banking system. That alone gives the state domination. But then not only the banking system, but all the major car industry, the major steel industry, the major electricity suppliers, the water suppliers, coal suppliers, construction, the biggest construction company, the airports, the railways, major transportation, the harbours, the shipping systems, all the big industries, they're all state-owned. And therefore they're state-owned, and the leadership is appointed by the Communist Party, and the Communist Party is linked in with the army, and the army, the state apparatus, the judiciary are all linked in with that historical structure which was created by the planned economy, and they're inextricably interlinked with the state-owned sectors of the economy, and therefore I think that China remains a planned economy. It's not a capitalist economy. Although there are very large, significant layers of capitalism within China, which are an acute threat to the Chinese, if you like, working class.
Perhaps you could talk more about exactly how the capitalist sector of the Chinese economy has developed, because there's been a lot of talk, especially amongst bourgeois economists, that China is now a capitalist economy. A lot of multinationals have now established business relations in China, and China is now producing exports. Some economists feel that this, a very significant sector of the Chinese economy is an export economy. What do you think of that point of view?
If you were going to say, as Marxists from including Lenin or Trotsky said, that you are going to have participation on the world market, then inevitably, if you're participating in the world market and we accept that the world market is dominated by capitalism, then when there are crises of capitalism, there will inevitably be crisis inside the planned economy. That's self-evident. Now, what does that mean, however? A lot of analysts have been quite surprised at the processes that have happened in the past 9 months to a year in China. They've been very surprised by what's happened, because according to their predictions, if China was such a massively export-dependent economy, linked in inextricably with the capitalist world system, then China's economy should have gone down with all the rest of them. When Lehman Brothers collapsed and the world trade has collapsed significantly. I mean, Germany, the biggest exporter in the world, has had a precipitous decline in its economic, in a negative economic growth. I think 5% or more this year. It's the biggest exporter in the world. China is predicted to overtake Germany as the biggest exporter in the world this year. The exports, however, are a smaller proportion of the Chinese economy than were thought to be by many analysts, because they mistook the total export value for exports, but actually much of the total export value was imported goods assembled in China and re-exported. Actually, the percentage of the economy, or GDP, which is connected with exports, is probably only about 10%. And the state has intervened by using the leverages, the economic levers that they have at their disposal to ameliorate and limit the impact of the global market crisis. And the way they've done that is to massively spend money on building of social housing, construction of roads, construction of railways, building of airports, foundation of a rebuilding of the welfare system within the countryside, and provision of large-scale investments by the state, by state-owned banks, by local government, and by national government, and by state-owned companies. Private capitalist companies invest for profit. They don't invest because the government tells them to invest. This has been the dilemma in the West in the last 9 months, is that the capitalists have told them to invest, and Gordon Brown said the bank should invest, the bank should lend money, the bank should give credit. But they don't, because they give credit in order to make a profit. But in China, they give credit because the government tells them to.